In this episode, Lamborghini builds the final pure V12, solid-state battery talk, and would you rather the Hyundai Ioniq 6 or the Tesla Model 3? Welcome to episode 173 of the We Are Auto Show. What's up, Derek?
Mr. Michael Rowell, I learned the other day at work that Ford dealers get tickets to Monster Jam.
What?
Yeah.
So if you want to go to Monster Jam, you have a buddy at a Ford dealer.
Hit him up.
Yo, if you work at Ford and you've got tickets you want to give away, holla at your boys. Because have you ever been to Monster Jam?
I have.
So have I.
It's a good time.
It's ridiculously good time.
It's so goofy. It's so unlike any motorsports that we're into, but it's a good time.
I love it so much. I want to see like a 20-foot tall F-150 do a backflip. Because why wouldn't you?
It's kind of interesting to see that those trucks are really just big tube frames with a big engine and like goofy suspension, and then they just throw the body on top. It's so easy to take those bodies on and off of those vehicles.
Isn't it like 8 bolts or something that?
It's extremely easy.
I also heard that as you're driving, you're not really sitting as such. You're more like leaning.
I didn't know that.
I don't know how accurate that is. That might be wrong, but I feel like I've heard that when you're driving those, you're not like sitting like you would in an F1 car, but you're more like leaning kind of back on something.
They're goofy. They're awesome.
They're wild.
I do remember seeing one of them roll over, and he just stood in the throttle, and I saw the differential glow red hot, shoot sparks everywhere, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of crazy.
That is gnarly.
But pretty cool.
Shall we get into some news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's get into some Lamborghini news. So Lamborghini is building some pretty spectacular one-offs to kind of celebrate the final naturally aspirated V12s that Lamborghini will make.
I feel like all the car manufacturers are doing this right now.
They are, but Lamborghini's kind of done this a few times now.
They have.
They've kind of been like, this is the last one. No, wait a minute. This is the last one. No, wait a minute. I promise this is really, really, really the last one. So, is it the last one? I don't know.
Here's what I want to know. Is the marketing department being fed that it's the last one? And the department that does the planning of the cars and actually scheduling when they're going to release just doesn't tell marketing? They just say, tell them this is the last one.
Surprise.
Tell them next month is the last one. And the month after that will be the next one, the last one.
You may be onto something with that.
I don't know.
You might just be onto something with that. But let's talk about these final NAV12s that Lamborghini's producing. They are one-offs, so that does lead me to believe that they actually are the final. It's not like a production vehicle where you've got 1,000 of them being made or something like that. They are called the Invincible, which is the coupe, and the Authentica, which is the open-top roadster.
Okay.
And
they're Aventadors.
Yeah, I was just about to say, they're essentially fancy body-worked versions of Aventadors.
Is it it kind of looks pseudo-similar to, what's the fancy bodywork that everybody puts on their supercars these days?
Liberty Walk?
Yeah. It's more than that, but it gives me those vibes.
It's just like, how many more fins and angles can we put on this?
And it's already a very finny, angly vehicle.
Yeah, okay. Hot take. I think the regular Aventador S or SVJ or SV looks better than the Authentica and the Invincible.
I agree.
Although this one sounds more like superheroes.
Yes. And if you're going to do a crazy Italian sports car, making it sound like a superhero, not a bad call.
Not a bad call.
No.
Right? Like, for example, if you think back, you had the Lamborghini Scion that came out. This is the last V12. Then you had the Countach that came out. This is the last V12. Then you had the Aventador Ultimate. This is the last V12. And now we have the Invincible and the Authentica.
Now it does say this is the final pure V12.
Correct.
So we could get some turbocharged V12s. We could get some hybrid V12s. Would we? Probably not. But pure is in there, meaning there's some wiggle room.
They are going to do. They've actually been working on a hybrid Aventador for years.
Hmm.
That's coming.
Okay.
Not a fan, but it's coming.
The final pure hybrid Aventador.
Final pure hybrid Aventador. Oh my goodness gracious. This car does have pretty well the exact same powertrain as the Aventador Ultime. Pardon me, I didn't.
Ultimate.
Yes, the ultimate Aventador. It's got that 769 horsepower. It's cranked up a bit, so that's that same 6.5 liter V12 that you get in the Ultime. So that's unchanged. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
What? These are one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they've been sold.
There's no price because they are
there
one-offs.
never will be.
Yes,
that's
many
fine.
millions of dollars.
Will there be another one-off?
If some Italian playboy wants one and is willing to pay enough, I bet there will be.
I think you're right. I don't think this is the last one-off we see. As for the Aventador, possibly. Seems kind of likely.
Probably, yeah.
For like the Huracan, I don't know, whatever other ones they want to throw at it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Agree.
Yep.
But it is the last naturally aspirated V12 that we're going to see, according to Lamborghini.
They do sound great. They do sound amazing.
We've seen, there's a guy local to us that has an Aventador Ultime that's already been opened up with like straight pipes and all that. And I'm going to tell you, it is one of the best sounding cars I think I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a 90s F1 car.
Perfect.
It's just like this super high pitched screaming, revving to like 10,000 RPM. It's just, every time I'm driving here, because I see him quite often, every time I see his car, crack the window a bit and just sound off, listen.
Everyone loved the F1, V10 era, was it?
Yeah, the F1 V10 era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone loved that era.
And the Lamborghini V12 just sounds so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. But yes, that's the last pure naturally aspirated V12 that Lamborghini will be making. The Invincible and the Authentica.
All right.
Yeah. So moving on, shall we?
Yeah.
Nissan is making, apparently projecting to make, estimating to make, planning and preparing to make solid-state batteries in its EVs by 2028.
Oh, buddy. Let's go.
Before we get too deep into this, educate me. What is an solid-state battery versus what is a regular battery is?
All right. Regular battery. Lithium-ion battery. That's what you hear all the time, right? Mm-hmm. It's a lithium and an ion battery. Yeah. So the tech or the chemistry behind the lithium-ion battery is I went onto Samsung's website and they provided this. So you see on the left here, we have a lithium-ion battery, which has an anode and a cathode, which is the negative and positive end. When you hook up the little terminals on your battery in your car, you got the positive and the negative end, or like a little battery that you have in your whatever. In the middle there's that Li plus. That Li plus, and it's a liquid. I forget what they call it. Like it
lithium?
separates the two to make sure. What happens in a battery is you'll charge one side, and when you try to pull charge on the other, the electrons will flow through from one side to the other, and they flow through that Li plus.
Okay.
And since that's a liquid, over time you get degradation and you get problems. And I forget what the name of these little spikes are, but actually over time in a battery, little chemical spikes will protrude from one side to the other, and when they connect, that essentially kills the battery. That's why you have battery degradation over time. The big positive on a solid-state battery is you don't have a liquid intermediate between the anode and the cathode. You have a solid. Now, a solid can't chemically form a little spike that will go through there and kill the battery.
Okay.
So you have longer degradation. You can, in theory, also charge the batteries way faster. From what I've heard, it's like 5 to 10 times faster. It's significantly faster. It would make a big difference in an EV. And you can discharge them at a much faster rate as well. And you don't have to worry about the thermal runaway problems nearly as much either. The thermal is way more stable compared to one with liquid in it. And if you puncture a liquid battery or a lithium-ion battery, it immediately catches on fire because the two chemicals that should not be interacting that have that liquid between them immediately interact, and they discharge a lot of energy. and that is in the form of heat, which catches things on fire. And once you have a fire in one of those batteries, it just keeps on going down the line. Another one, and another one, and another one, and they're run away. It's very hard to stop a lithium-ion battery fire. So, in theory, since it's a solid state, you will not get nearly the problems. You'll have better, you won't have the runaway of the fires. You'll have a whole bunch of, the thermal won't happen, which is great. You'll have more capacity. It'll charge faster. It'll last longer. They're like the holy grail of batteries right now. Now, Nissan is saying 2028 is when they're projecting to have them.
That's what they're saying.
Okay. I've heard rumors and rumbling that other people will have them earlier than that, but let's hear more about what Nissan is doing here.
As far as I know, really what I'm understanding here is that with these solid-state batteries, they're going to be putting them in all sorts of stuff, cars, trucks, all these things. Apparently, other manufacturers, like you mentioned, like Ford, BMW, Toyota, maybe even Chevy, are all hoping to have it by 2025. So it sounds like they being Nissan are a little late to the party.
They are a bit late to the party. I know that the big companies like Samsung have been working on it for a while. They're trying to turn it into like cell phones and those kind of things to be solid state ASAP. You can also, from what I know, get rid of the lithium. You can use other chemicals, which is nice because there's all that mining problem going on with like human rights issues. And apparently that cannot all be solved, but helped, which is good. These are this is going to be tech that you'll hear more about as it comes out. But right now it's in the R&D phase. I know that big companies like Samsung and whatnot have in the R&D facility batteries working. They don't have them mass produced at scale.
Does anyone have a solid state battery right now?
Yes, but it's all in R&D right now.
So, but let me ask this. Any consumer currently using anything with a solid-state battery?
Not that I know of.
Anything?
Not that I know of.
So there's like realistically 0 solid-state batteries on the market for anything right now.
As far as
computers, phones, whatever.
As far as I know. It's that future-looking tech that will change a lot of things, but isn't here yet.
Will Tesla use solid-state batteries?
That's kind of interesting. I haven't heard of them going down that path.
And that's what I was saying, because nowhere does it ever mention Tesla jumping on that bandwagon.
I have not heard of them going down that path. Now, they are partnered with Samsung to build the batteries. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if Samsung is going to go do solid-state R&D, Tesla will ideally take advantage of whatever comes out of that.
Makes sense.
But no, right now, they're still on the lithium-ion. I think that they're trying to do lithium like cobalt or something like that.
No, they want to get rid of cobalt.
Is that what it is?
Cobalt's really bad for the human rights mining.
Okay.
Stuff. Yeah.
And they're trying to get rid of some chemical. And I think that they have their new battery cells, those bigger ones. I think we talked about those. I don't remember the number. Anyway, they are mass producing those at scale, which is good. But no, not solid states yet.
So solid states will essentially make EVs more usable.
In theory, they're going to improve EVs a lot. They could make it to the point where EV boats, planes, and other things become useful as well, because the energy density will be much more dense. And that's the biggest problem right now for trying to do.
Store and recharge that energy much quicker.
Not only that, but just in the same amount of volume, you can have more energy. The density is way better.
Yeah.
So
that does make some sense.
Right. As far as like if you compare a battery to a gasoline, the energy density of gasoline is like 10 to 20 times more dense than a battery. Yeah. But the efficiency of extracting the energy out of the gasoline is like 20% with a car. Whereas an EV is like 95% efficient.
Got it.
If you can make it more dense and you can put more energy in it, yeah, it'll be much better.
That does make sense.
Yep.
So
cool to see that they're doing this.
I agree. Let's move on to a different EV, though.
All right.
Let's move on to a Hyundai. The Hyundai Ioniq 6. The official EPA range has been released, and I think it's worth talking about. So the Hyundai Ioniq 6 is kind of putting themselves in a pretty competitive spot in the market, if you ask me. because what they've done here is they've got a couple different trim options for the Ioniq 6. You can get which if I'm understanding this, kind of the base option would be a 225 horsepower single motor rear wheel drive version of it, which gives you, that may not be the base. It might be the base. No, not the base. Pardon me. But the 225 horsepower single motor rear wheel drive gives you 361 miles
of range.
Yeah. That's EPA rated.
Okay. So that's
proper.
Okay. Yeah. That's not just the manufacturer saying, here's my range number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's competitive. That's very competitive.
That's like really competitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other trims, you've got a 320 horsepower dual motor all-wheel drive, which is going to be more powerful. That's 316 miles, not 360, but 316.
Right.
And then you have a different single motor rear-wheel drive, which is, a single motor, rear-wheel drive? Yes, for 305 miles. And then you have a dual motor all-wheel drive for 270 miles as well. So you got a range of trims. The range fingers are for currently a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery pack, which they will eventually give you a smaller battery pack if
How
you
many
want.
kilowatts?
77.4.
Okay, so that's close to Tesla. They're around that.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere between like 70 and 90.
Apparently, they're going to give you the option in the somewhat future for a 53 kilowatt hour unit, which is smaller. So,
get you like 200 miles of range.
Small, hopefully it means cheap.
Right. For your daily commute, totally fine. Okay, that's interesting. I actually really like this.
Do you?
Design-wise, it's kind of wild looking. It has the arrow shape to it, right?
Can we stop for just a second and talk about that arrow shape?
Sure.
Because that leads me to a claim for CD.
Coefficient of drag.
Coefficient of drag, correct. Your coefficient of drag has, in our market, 0.22. Foreign markets, you get 0.21 because they can get cameras instead of mirrors.
Okay.
But here, you're 0.22 for a coefficient of drag.
Coefficient of drag of a Tesla Model 3, 0.23.
And I'm glad you brought up Model 3 because that segues to my next point. The range for a Model 3 is from 272 to 358 miles of range. So you single motor versus all-wheel or dual motor, right?
Right.
Okay.
Is this a very good competitor?
We need to have the conversation. Hyundai Ioniq 6 that looks like a banana or a Tesla Model 3. Scratch your beard, right?
I would, I don't know, actually. That's interesting. Are there any interior shots?
Because I haven't seen. Maybe there's 41 pictures in here. So, there we go. Not E. It's better than Tesla's interior, if you ask me. Again, the dashboard is not a barren wasteland of nothing with a middle screen. It's got driver-centric things.
They kind of took the minimalist approach, but not full Tesla minimalist.
Correct. They didn't go, here's a steering wheel, and that's all you get.
Right, because that's been the MO for some reason of Tesla, which some people love, some people absolutely hate.
I'm not in the camp that loves that.
I don't think it's bad, but they seem to have taken it a little too far.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Hyundai is a car company that's been around for a while. They, in the recent past, have been doing a lot better.
Oh, yeah. Think back to Hyundais of the 90s.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear Jesus. You don't want that.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah.
One of the worst cars ever.
Yeah. Yikes. But in the past 5 years,
they've got pretty good. Better. Yeah.
Pretty good. They did the whole weird Genesis spin-off thing, which
for a luxury brand of it.
Right, and they've not quite have walked it back, but I've heard they might be walking that back soon, so I don't know, that's kind of weird. I kind of like this. I kind of like this a lot.
What do you buy?
Model 3.
Do you, though?
Yep.
Why?
Charging.
Okay.
charging infrastructure.
That makes sense. Real quick, the price of this new Hyundai Ioniq 6 has not been fully released yet, but estimates are under 50 grand. Model 3, just under 50 grand when you get the dual motor or the extended range, right? So
comparable.
Apples to apples here, I would say.
I would say Tesla's going to have more tech. It's going to have better charging infrastructure. It's now, in the future, in 5 to 10 years from now, assuming Tesla doesn't sort out the full self-driving thing, this would be very, very competitive. And I'd seriously think about buying this. What about you?
So, if it, I just hate the interior of Tesla so bad. I'd have to go Tesla Model 3 because of, one, the charging, and two, I just like the evil geniusness that is Musk, right?
He's a wild dude.
He's wild. I have to appreciate his evil geniusness. I'd have to go Model 3 because of those two reasons alone.
Man, from this perspective, this car looks so Korean, it's ridiculous. Does it not?
It does.
Oh, man.
It looks very much like a Korean car.
I couldn't watch my wife drive that and go, yeah. I could watch her in a Model 3 and I'd be like, all right, that's fine. No problem. Just, it's so Korean. Nothing bad on Korean cars. It just looks extremely Korean from this angle.
It does, very much so.
Yeah.
You just said that car looks Korean. You're not wrong, though.
I know.
It's so true. It looks like a banana.
It does. And more cars that are full EV are going to have this shape. This is just the most aerodynamic shape.
I hate it so
And the
much.
CD matters so much. There's no way they get that range. If they make it look like a cool sports car, they make it look like a Porsche or a BRZ or a Corvette or something like that, it gets 200 miles of range.
187 miles of range.
Zero range, basically, compared to 350. It makes such a big difference that they have to do that weird shape.
But it really is the best competitor to a Model 3 that we've seen.
It definitely is.
Like, typically, you've got EVs that compete with other EVs, and then you have Tesla separately. Right. This actually is getting on the mark with the Tesla Model 3 and going, hey, bud, how you doing?
If you're looking at it from the range perspective, yes. If you look at it as a whole, I'd say it's still short by a couple things.
Such as charging.
The charging infrastructure is going to be annoying. I would say the build quality will actually probably be better in this than it will be in the Tesla, which is kind of funny. You will have a manufacturer dealer close to you, which is good, whereas the Tesla service centers are kind of shoddy. But you will have to buy from a dealer, which means you're going to get a markup, and you're not going to get the direct-to-consumer price that Tesla will give you.
Fair.
Right. There's so many different trade-offs to all these different ways that car companies are doing this.
Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Either way, I think this is the competitor to the Tesla Model 3.
I like it. I hope that they can mass produce it. You can see that this car, man, Tesla has forced all these manufacturers to build these cars. Mm-hmm. They really have.
Absolutely, they have.
They really have. And that was Musk's goal from the beginning. It was just accelerate the EV movement, and it's working.
It really is.
It's crazy.
So there's the new Ioniq 6.
All right.
You got any other news for us?
I do not.
Well, then that's going to wrap us up for episode 173. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you're watching, drop a comment on this video. Let us know, would you rather the Tesla Model 3 or the Hyundai Ioniq 6? Be curious to know your thoughts. And if you're listening, send us that answer via social. Facebook is We Are Auto. Instagram is We Are Auto _. YouTube is We Are Auto. And our website is weareauto.io, where you can go to check out some of your favorite past races. So thanks again. Catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.